cards if it goes unchecked. So yeah, this is like a really good first matchup. I feel like this is going to give us a really good insight into what the format looks like right now. Right, these are two of the top decks right away.
Yeah.
Very exciting stuff
And it's not a mirror, very different play styles and everything,
for
but you
sure.
definitely have very similar cards in both lists, as both have the be prepared as answered. And it's always interesting. It's kind of like when you run into two steel decks and you know who is going to wheel first is the really who gets the most value out of it. And it kind of is that same thing for the ruby amethyst or ruby sapphire that we see here.
Mm-hmm. So looks like the players are just getting set up now. We should be getting to this first round soon. Very exciting. What do you think is the biggest thing that you have to watch out for as a Ruby Amethyst player in this matchup against Ruby Sapphire?
In this matchup, I don't really know if there's anything you have to be too necessarily worried about. You just have to make sure that the ramp doesn't take over. I guess if anything, it's that ramp.
Yeah.
You gotta try to shut it down early, because if that ramp gets too heavy too fast, you're looking at a hard time. But at the same time, with it, when you're not going against when the popsicle deck doesn't go against steel, it doesn't get as much gas as it would going against like a whole new world deck.
For sure.
So I think that it's not as worrisome into those late stages of the game where you have Tamatoa that you have to worry about. I think you have to worry more about not letting them ramp up, and you have so much the sneaky questing on this Ruby Amethyst. I personally say they have the advantage.
For sure. All right, so it looks like we inked a Maleficent, played a Rafiki, quested right away. We got an Inca Maui, played a Popsicle, drew. One jump ahead, so we're starting the ramp really quickly here, and we're off to the races. So I believe Eric is at 1 lore right now.
Now he doesn't have the fishbone out, and I personally know that he doesn't have it out yet. He's gonna probably play it on this next turn. I think I saw it in his hand, and I know that if you don't have that fishbone quill on turn 3, it does really slow down all your potential for this deck to ramp as he needs to, especially now that Minnie Mouse Surfer's on the field. You want to try to be able to get like things like your Lady Tremaine out as soon as you can, or Medusa out as soon as
Yeah.
you can.
Yeah, that Minnie Mouse from Eric, like that is still such a clutch card and key card for this matchup, and just the Ruby Sapphire, or the Ruby Amethyst deck in general. Evasive creatures still really difficult to deal with for a lot of decks. All right, so seeing some
Playing the How Far I'll Go. It's one of the promo cards from this chapter. Not a very common card to see. How many of those does he have in the deck? It looks
like we have 3 of them in the deck.
Okay, so he's it's not a tech card. He definitely is utilizing that, and I have personally not seen that one in many Ruby Sapphire lists. So that's a pretty interesting card, letting you look at the top 2 cards of your deck, put one into your hand and the other into your inkwell face down and exert it. I mean, honestly, it's not bad at all. Not great that he had to pay for it outright.
But again, I think it just goes to show that, like, just reading off John's list, he's really focusing on the ramp. Like, he realizes he needs that ramp in order for this deck to be successful, right? And we're seeing that from Eric's side too. I mean, he played Friends, he played the Rabbit last turn, so he's just drawing his whole deck. We do see the Hiram here from John, so that's a great first piece for this combo.
Back to another popsicle, which is great. I mean, he's got the fuel for the card draw, which is, I mean, John's looking like he's set up, and that's the thing with that deck is it takes a few turns, but now it starts to roll. Now it starts to play.
This is going to be a long game, I think.
Yeah, no, I do see a lot of cause that's where sometimes you almost like, again, maybe an aggro deck comes in today and like steals the show, because like these long starts. I mean, an aggro deck already has 8-10 lore by this time.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see, we got that rabbit. That rabbit came down, I think, last time, right?
Yes, it did. Yep. So we're just questing here.
Just sang the friend. That's right.
Singing friends with the rabbit, and then questing here. Yeah.
Got it. So that Minnie Mouse Surfer, definitely. And the Queen's Castle coming down.
Yeah. See, like this is the problem. Like when the Ruby Amethyst deck just starts to, especially with the evasive character going to that location.
Yeah.
Like you're just gonna draw so many cards. Like people like to say, now that it has competition through these Sapphire decks and with Emerald Steel and things like that, that Ruby Amethyst is no longer top
100%.
and that might be the case, but it's still one of the best decks in the format,
100%.
for sure.
It's got good matchups in just about everything. He has the Maui in hand, so he technically could take out the castle, eliminating the card draw. But he has to figure out, what's the best play here. Ooh,
Oh, and we get
I
the
love
Scar.
that.
I love this card. This is my new favorite card to see. I mean, it destroys everything.
Oh,
Like
he
it's
just took out the whole board and the castle.
that
He
card's
would have
crazy
taken out
good.
that mini too if he had evasive any way to give it. Oh, that was so good. That card is a fantastic addition to the deck, and that's why he's running 3 of them,
Yeah.
not just a tech card, because it's so good. Why not run more?
And you know what? We saw people more and more playing 1-ofs, 2-ofs of this card. I think it being a 3 or 4 of, I think we're going to see more and more of that. I think this card was slept on since set 2 launched, and it just lets you just kill everything.
Especially because locations don't do any damage back to you, so they can just kind of freely go after it. And yeah, so he pulls down a Maui and he trades with it, which is a great trade for him. It went very even 1-to-1, but that card just got so much value. It's like, you've done your job.
Yep.
You may rest easy, good sir.
But again, this just goes to show the power of Mini Surfer, right?
Yeah.
Evasive creatures that quest
Still
for
on the
2,
board.
really dangerous.
Yep. So he's gonna quest. He's gonna drop that popsicle, grab the 2 cards. Got a Lucky Dime in hand, and he has the Tamatoa, so potentially, I'm assuming he's going to try to play the Tamatoa down to get that popsicle back, to get the fuel back, but he does not.
So we got a Medusa here.
Yeah,
that's
love
one.
that.
That's good. That's one good way to get rid of stuff like that.
100%. Right? I didn't see the Medusa because that's the play. You can get rid of that mini, you get rid of her as soon as possible. She's so frustrating to deal with if you can't.
By playing less, Medusas and Tremaines and going for the Scar strategy and things like that, you do open yourself up to that risk of evasive characters. But I mean, you're no matter what, if you're playing Ruby, you have no end to the side of removal in your hand most of the time. And we got the Tremaine going back and forth. We're going to see a lot of this just going back and forth with this removal.
And that, I mean, it definitely, the getting rid of the Medusa, that's a no-brainer for sure. And that's kind of one of those things where it's good to have Tremaine, because the Medusa there, it wouldn't have done anything. It would have had to get rid of the hero. And yeah, that's good. That's the way you want to. That's what you kind of want to do. But most of the time, that's not the case.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. Most of the time, you're running into a issue where that the 4 cap is so hard. I mean, so few things have that 4. Most things are 3 and under, and as far as the attack goes. So having the Medusa is usually better. But I love the Lady.
There's that Tamatoa you were just talking about.
Of course.
So John's at 9 ink now, so he's getting close to that 10 number too. He does play the Bell, Strange but Special. He's got 4 of those. Man, I really hope we see a good Lucky Dime trigger off the Bell or the Tamatoa.
He has the Lucky Dime in hand, so it's definitely, I'm assuming it's coming down next turn.
So he's going to draw with the Popsicle with Hiram here.
I think the Bell
just passes.
I would assume that the Bell in this situation, getting that set up for the Lucky Dime, might be a better strategy than throwing down the Lucky Dime on the Tamatoa that only has like 3 lore. Yep. What would you do? Would you feed it, or would you just put the Lucky Dime down right now?
I think it just costs so much lore to get out. So much ink to get out. I would probably play the Lucky Dime this turn.
Get it out early.
But that's just me. I mean, it's a hard call.
No, for sure. No, it's definitely. I mean, and that's the other thing why.
Ooh, that's nice. Gonna use Snake to bounce the Lady Tremaine. So that Tamatoa's days are limited unless he can get something else out here.
100%. He's used that Lady Tremaine. Does he have another one in his hand too?
And that's the thing with a bounce strategy. Like, you just get to reuse all these triggers. Like, it's just still such a good engine.
Now, with that Tamatoa on the field, you quest first, you get the Popsicle, you play the Popsicle, you play the Lucky Dime, you activate the Lucky Dime, you get the extra lore off of him, but then if you don't play a character that turn, you're giving him up either way, right? I mean, because he knows that Lady Tremaine's coming down, it has to get rid of something. So
that's what happened. We missed that. He shifted the Tremaine onto the Tremaine, so that when he bounced, he got both.
That's okay. I was curious what
great.
came back, because I was like, what did he shift that? I definitely did not see that. So
that is a fantastic strategy right there.
100%.
So it looks like he quested with the Tamatoa. He plays 1 jump ahead. So he's at the 10. He has the Bell in hand. He has Beat prepared. Let it go.
He has a lot of answers, a lot of options. It looked like also a Medusa.
I mean, you're not gonna be prepared as Snake.
No,
I'd like to hope.
But you will Medusa.
You will Medusa one.
So it's gonna be all of his remaining ink.
I mean, Eric, I'm trying to see what he has in hand here because Ruby Amethyst can really recover well, right?
He has two Lady Tremaines for
So
sure.
he still has the
It
Tremaines.
looks like a third one though. It looks like he has a hand of Lady Tremaines. He just maybe he's just moving them super fast. Is that not?
I can't. I think you might be right. I think you might have 3. That's crazy. We got
There's
the
a
fox
fox.
too. So again, more bounce.
I swear that's 2 more. Is that a good hand or a bad hand?
Just gonna win. Just gonna win this war of attrition. Just like continually just removing things with Lady Tremaine. Make John have a response, but eventually, when you're dealing with 5 lore bells and things like that, you just have to. It's just gonna be a matter of who runs out of gas first.
Yeah, I definitely think because I mean you could sing the "Be Prepared with the Tamatoa," wipe the board. That gives rid of 1 Tremaine. At least gets rid of it because he's ready to bounce. He's obviously playing into that strategy pretty heavy. So, is it better to get rid of the Tremaine once and for all, or to let it potentially stay in his hand?
I mean, he has to let it go, so he could go that strategy
That
too.
is true.
Just remove it with let it go.
He's gonna quest and grab an item back. Oh, he has another popsicle, right?
Yeah. Yes, he does. So he's getting up there slowly but surely. You said he has the lucky diamond.
He does have the lucky diamond hand, so now would be a good time to pop it because that's an extra 4 on there. Let's see. Oh, we might be doing it.
So John's sitting at 7 right now, and Eric's at 10. Because that's the thing, Eric doesn't have it. He's not pressuring any kind of win condition soon.
Yeah.
So, and that's the thing with these Sapphire decks, right? You have to always be concerned about the clock. Also, is another thing. Like it's really hard to get 2 wins in a best of 3 format with Sapphire decks. They're so slow and grindy. Yep, just gonna use the let it go.
Very good.
I think that is the better move here.
He's gonna have to sacrifice whatever he gets. He knows he has another one though.
Because he has the bells. Yeah, that's a great because now, unless Eric has the be prepared, he has to remove both of those characters before he can lucky die. He'll have access to potentially upwards of 10 lore next turn. So,
I mean, if
he removes none,
then I mean he's
threatening lethal.
It's like he has to take out something for sure, and he's got that Lady Tremaine. Oh,
double Eric. Ooh,
what?
This is a card that's kind of fallen out of favor more recently, but I'd love to see it.
I love that card, but I don't know if I love that play. That's a very interesting play when I know he has another Lady Tremaine in hand. He could be getting rid of something. He's going to let him quest for upwards of 10 lore. That's going to put him at 17. He doesn't even know he has a lucky dime.
This is so interesting, though, because... Over. Oh, wait, yeah, no, that's just game over.
That's game over.
That's just game over. Yep.
That you wanted the lucky dime play. There's the lucky dime play.
Yep,
First
there it
game
is.
out of the gate. Oh my goodness! I cannot believe.
I was thinking
he
could attack his own Erics and just crash him in, but so John's gonna take number 1 here with that was actually a very fast game for.
I honestly was so fast that I didn't realize it was happening.
That
was so quick.
That's what's so dangerous about Tamatoa and Bell and Lucky Dime. Like you can just get 15 lore in 1 turn. Like it's nothing, and it's
I mean. That was wild. I do genuinely think it's great of a play as that was. I do think that was a misplay on Eric's part, just because he had the tools in hand. That's what kind of blows my mind a little bit.
Yeah, that's what's confusing to me. And I think that's what's a little bit problematic with Eric is you have to kind of wait that turn, right?
Yeah,
because he has to.
He does nothing for you until next turn, and yes, you can clear the board after that. But you're still gonna let him get up to 17.
He has the Tremaine in hand, but I can see if he doesn't have the lucky dime, right?
Yeah.
You can wipe his board next turn. So I kind of see it.
The way that I look at that, just personally because I'm trying to assess these decks the way that I would go against them in that sense. And I think that even in that regard, personally, the allowing your opponent on the next turn 5 with Bell, and then another 4 with Tamatoa.
Yeah.
If he doesn't play any items, and then if he does play items more, he's already at 7 lore. That puts him at 17. Yeah. You're at 0 lore. That's really, really hard to come back from.
Absolutely.
So I would just make sure to, like, again, what we talked about earlier, don't let the ramp take off. Definitely don't let Tamatoa and Bell stay on the field at the same time.
I agree, especially when you have the Tremaine in hand.
And yeah, when you have an answer, I think he even had to be prepared. He could have really just
if he had be prepared.
I'm not 100%.
I don't think he did. Okay. I think John had be prepared.
Okay,
but I mean, I could be wrong too. But if Eric did have be prepared, then it's definitely misplayed.
Yeah.
Because
That was
That's the move for sure.
that was just I mean, and it's crazy because I mean it's such a new thing that most players aren't even like. I know for a couple of my buddies, they're going to be going into the set championship tomorrow. They haven't played but maybe like 10 matches this whole meta, and if you aren't aware of how powerful that dime is going to be,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? Like, oh, that was that was one of the highest lore swings in one turn I've seen.
Well,
That was
all
huge.
of the Sapphire decks across the board are so complex. Like, you need to work in this format. It's not like before where you can just, I know my through lines with Amber Steel Song, I'm good. Like, you have to know how to nuance your play against different decks.
So now Eric's going into round 2 against John on the play. So he's got the Rafiki out. John doesn't look like he got anything for his turn 1, so a little bit of a boost to Eric's start right here.
Honestly, to answer your question that you asked me before the tournament started about best deck cards in Inklands, I think Rafiki's up there too.
He is so good. Oh, especially that combo right there.
So
he
good.
didn't get to use it, which is such a bummer. Like, I almost wouldn't even have played the Pinocchio, but what else are you gonna do on your turn 2? So you might as well. But like, what a bummer, right? Because like that combo, oh man, my fiance uses it on me so much. I taught it to her, and I'm like, dang, I shouldn't have done that.
And we're seeing the ramp again as early as first couple turns here from John. One jump ahead right off the gate, and that's what you want to see.
And he did that last game, and he gives the advantage here. It's almost like a psychological advantage too, because you let your opponent kind of take off a little bit in the beginning, and then he came back so strong
For sure.
and to shut it down. You know what I mean? Where now Eric's got a little bit of a advantage in his on the field, which is great. But we saw last game. I mean, this is where John starts the game. John's just been getting his starting inkwell ready.
Yep, for sure. But we do see the Mini Surfer. I mean, that's a great card for Eric to have. It's probably one of his best options in this 100%. Matchup.
Because I don't think John's running the Maui Fish Hook.
Yeah, I don't think so. Let me double check. Yeah, no, he's not. Yeah. So it's just you're gonna want to try to aggro this out if you're Eric. I mean, we saw last round with the Lucky Dime, like you said, it's so fast for things to turn around. We got nothing but Grandma in play for John right now.
And he's not running the shift Grandma, so we don't have any fancy stuff to worry about with that.
It's just again, he's really going in on this ramp strategy, which I mean, it's working out for him.
Look at that board Eric is developing right now, man. He's just saying, you better use that Be Prepared if you got it.
Yeah. And you know what?
And he got it. Oh, he pulled it.
The one good thing about the ramp strategy, by like going all in on that, you're not so it doesn't feel as bad to play Be Prepared, because sometimes it can feel bad to play Be Prepared in this format because decks like Ruby Amethyst can draw so many cards. It's not as impactful as it once was, right? But if you're just ramping.
And with Hiram coming out, popping the shield, getting that card draw, I mean, it's one of those things that just keeps the flow going. I think we're, looks like turn 5, and John still has 5-6 cards in hand.
That's
beautiful.
It's so much easier to recover from Be Prepared in this format versus the first 2 sets. And, like, especially in the mirror match against, like, Ruby Sapphire mirror match, something like that, and you got, like, Hirams to deal with, one comes down, you have an item in play, you're back in the game, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But again, we're seeing how far I'll go from John.
It's a pretty good card. I mean,
continuing to ramp.
It replaces itself and ramps at the same. It's not bad at all, especially when you can get a character to sing it like Grandma Tala here. And then Grandma Tala, again, like you said, putting that extra card in the top of the deck. 2 cards top of your deck, you may put 1 in your hand, put the rest into the bottom of your deck in any order. I don't know if you guys noticed this, but the wording on that one confuses me. You may put 1 into your hand and put the rest on the bottom of your deck in any order when it's only 2 cards.
Yeah, I guess it's just a technicality.
Yeah,
if there's ever an ability that lets you draw more than that or something.
Gotcha.
Queen's Castle though, like Queen's Castle is a perfect example. You draw 1 character after Be Prepared with Queen's Castle in play, you're back in business.
Yep. And the locations just make Be Prepared less effective in general because, I mean, they survive it. There's no damage to it. It almost makes it, if you Be Prepared and he has the Queen's Castle, you know what I mean? If you don't have something that can attack the Queen's Castle, then that kind of sucks. You have to have enough ink to, like, attack it, then Be Prepared. That's pretty tough. So.
Yep. And that's why you're going to see stuff like a lot more people playing things in their Ruby Amethyst list, like Sorcerer's Spellbook has come back in favor a lot because, you know, you have these long, grindy matchups that can sometimes win you the game. That can be the deciding factor. That one lore a turn over the course of a really long game can be that. We do have the Maui though, which is the best response John has to locations, and it's gone.
And I love that this is not like a one-time thing. He's used it each game so far. The Hero Maui combo for the Queen's Castle. It's like he's got the perfect counter ready for it. That's a deck that like knows exactly how many, because a lot of people don't. I mean, you don't think to attack. Hero little one attack, but that perfect little combo is so great.
We just saw a crab buff up a rabbit to take out Maui. I love that. That's awesome.
Right there.
And you get to draw a card off your rabbit dying. I mean, that's a great combo. Crab is another one that has really become a shining star in this format.
100%. That card is such a necessity for any purple deck. It kind of like, I mean, if you're not running the crab, you're just begging to have issues. Oh, he tried to quest with the crab, and then
nope.
Like, wait, hold on a
second. Wait.
I love that his lore whole thing is a little Funko Pop. I think it is that one of the. I'm not even sure.
I can't even tell from this angle, but that's awesome.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
So John, it looks like, is at 8 ink. So he's getting close to that magic number of 10. No item in play.
Ooh, there it is.
And he's just gonna be prepared. I mean, that's a great trade. That's a 3-for-1. So
you have to do it too. I mean, Eric's taking the game and just running away with it at that point. I mean, that's what Be Prepared is there for. It's not really like your go-to, but it's your, hey, I gotta fall back on this because the game's getting a little wild. Let's reset.
And I mean, you look on paper, John has a lot of ink, but beyond that has not much. Eric has a lot of cards in hand, but an 11 lore versus 1, but I think John is actually in a really good spot here. I see the bell in his hand. I see more removal. I see a Be Prepared. I see Medusa. So I think it's going to really come down to whether Eric can get out these last 8 lore before John just completely starts to bowl over the entire battlefield.
So playing that Lady Tremaine, getting rid of the goat, giving another lore to Eric, getting him to 13. But now John, I mean, if it's anything less than like 16, 17, I'm not really that worried about it, knowing what John's deck can do in that format. Like, you got to be ready to kind of come back from it. So I think he's ready for that. Ooh,
this is hilarious watching all these like rich evil ladies just taking each other out one by one.
That's pretty good right there. I mean, we need a red Cruella de Vil.
Yeah, please. All right, so we're seeing. Okay.
Ooh, getting that card draw set up.
I mean, that's all it takes. I mean, Eric says, I need to draw cards. It's fantastic. Unlike John, if John doesn't have a response here, I mean, he's going to draw cards that way.
He's got How Far I'll Go. He's got looks like a Fishbone or a Hiram.
I mean, I'm sure John at this point is digging for the lucky dime, right? He has the bell in hand.
Yeah, for sure.
I could see.
It's almost why I'm so surprised people are only running 2 of them. Why not throw an extra one in there when it's such a key part to making this deck really pop at the end?
Yeah,
I guess you're just hoping you've gone through enough cards at that point, which is not unheard of. I mean, there definitely is a lot of draw going.
And the problem is it's uninkable, right? So if you draw it and you don't need it, or if you draw it too early and your hand's flooded, it's not a fun card to draw.
Is that another bell? I think you just put another bell to the bottom of the deck. I could be wrong, but I think the colors.
It looks like he took a scar there. So, I mean, John's hand is absolutely stacked with removal and bells. I mean, that's going to be hard for Eric to come. It's just going to be a matter of he needs to try to aggro out these last 7 lore, like get out some goats. Goats would be fantastic here.
Yeah, I think that Madame Medusa putting 4 on the castle is just it doesn't feel good.
Nope. And you can't really take advantage. I mean, Rafiki's not going to really deal with it.
He's just going to
he's I mean, he realizes, I think, that he has to, like,
just put the gas on. And that's a super important trait for people to know.
So I'm looking at it. Looks like his lore counter is on 16, or 17. So I'm wondering if he's actually farther ahead than we're thinking he is, because he's got Yzma there. It
looks like he's at 16. He just adjusted right now. So that Yzma draw. So that's why he quested more than anything. He's letting the Yzma get the card draw off, and then now I don't think he has the ink to be able to move Yzma, and it doesn't look like he wants to ink. He was rather having the cards, and that's kind of knowing your deck, right? Knowing like, hey, I only need 6, and I can pop off with 6. Versus John, he can definitely do a lot more when he hits that 13 threshold. That's when he really starts to pop off.
Absolutely.
All right, getting ready, set, draw. Looks like a Fishbone Quill gonna hit the inkwell.
I mean, if you're John here, I mean, the strategy I think is the correct one, but I mean, especially with that Eastman play now, and you're gonna, I mean, you have to deal with it. You're facing lethal next turn. You got the Queen's Castle in play. You got to
I think the only play is to
kill it
take out the
there.
Queen's Castle
Yeah,
and be prepared. Which is looks like it was going to do. I mean, it's like, yeah. I mean, that kind of sucks when you have to pay for that outright. You don't. It doesn't. He doesn't look like he has enough ink to put another character on the field because he has Bell. So I don't think he can ink because you ink that fishbone.
I think Eric actually might.
Think game 2 goes to Eric.
It looks like he might win this one out because I mean, again, John's biggest issue is Ruby Amethyst can go more aggressive if it needs to in these types of situations, and it's gonna just be tougher and tougher. So he's gonna bounce with Mini, just replay it immediately.
Yep.
And it's now or never for John.
Yeah.
And I mean, he has answers, right?
For sure.
It's just, is it enough?
Here, oh, there you go, getting the card draw, trying to draw some more answers out. He only got 3 ink left, though.
He cannot get a Tamatoa or a Lucky Dime, and he just scoops. Yeah, that's game. So we're going to a game 3, ladies and gentlemen. Going to be very interesting to see who can win this one out. This is not a game that I expected to go to game 3 on a pretty decent amount of time. Like, the players still have a chance here to have a solid 3 games.
That's kind of what we were talking about at the beginning. What can he do to stop? He's got to do exactly what he was doing, which is make sure to kind of slow that ramp down, right? Yep. And have, like, as he's doing it, sneaky questing, getting that lore up. I mean, he was moving and grooving on the questing this time, and I think that really is what that being able to make that change on game 2 is really important. So now we get to see what's John's counter to that. Is he going to change, or is he going to say, hey, no, I'm going to stick to my guns. I just didn't draw the cards I needed. I'm going to go back to what I did on round 1. Or is he going to change his game up a little bit and try to stop Eric from questing out the gate as much? Because John has answers. He's got the Queen of Hearts. I believe he has 2. He has 2 Queen of Hearts, and he's got 2 of the Queen Hearts, the shift. So he could. There's still combos John hasn't gotten. He's hadn't used. So I think this game 3 is going to be great. I hope it's just as kind of fast paced as that game 2 was. I like that Eric put the pressure on quick.
No, I think that was a really great adjustment from Eric. The combination of focusing on being more aggressive as well as drawing more cards, playing things like Queen's Castle, Rafiki early. I think that was the right move on his part, and John simply, that's the perfect example, right? We've been talking about John. Be prepared there. He played how many Medusas and Tremaines did he play? And Eric just had so many cards, had so much card advantage. Didn't phase him. He was able to still eke out the win there. And
he didn't go into 7 ink until the very, very, very end. And he used it once, and that was it. I mean, there's most of that game he capped out at 6 ink, which is, I mean, for people that think, oh, well, the ramp from blue is like, super overpowered. You get all the ink, you can do so many things. Yeah, you can, but you got to remember, you're also giving up a lot of cards to feed that inkwell. And sometimes there are cards you don't want to be giving up, but got to feed the inkwell.
Yeah. And we saw he had the bells in hand. It still didn't matter. I was surprised that I think he was trying to make sure there's so much removal in Ruby, right?
Yeah.
I think he was probably trying to make sure it didn't die right away.
Yeah.
But I think eventually at some point you got to just get out there and start putting some pressure on, or your opponent's just going to walk away with the game, right?
Definitely.
All right,
and it seemed like John let off the gas in comparison to the first game where he was just all removed.
And I will say it was very unfortunate. He dug a lot and just couldn't find that Lucky Dime or that Tamatoa to finish it out. But we're into game 3 here. We have a Olaf-friendly Snowman first from Eric, and just 2 inks and pass from John. Gonna quest here with the Olaf. It looks like it might be a Grumpy Pop vinyl there for
is that
Eric.
who it is?
I think that's so awesome.
That's pretty fair. Yeah,
all right, 2 Rafikis just going all out with the aggression. I love to see it.
He knows that is what got him that last win, is that putting that early pressure on.
Plus,
now John has to answer now. Oh, he has the answer.
Plus, you got time to worry about. So, I mean, I think this is the right kind of play.
Yeah, there's the Queen of Hearts coming down.
Again, I'm surprised he only plays the 2.
Oh, but wait, does he not attack? He didn't even attack the Olaf. Because he didn't want to lose it to one of the Rafikis.
He would have had to. Yeah, he would have had to.
Interesting.
And he wouldn't have killed. So I mean, it makes sense.
It does make sense. I wouldn't have done it though. That's one of those things where I love learning. You know what I mean? Yep. And that's one of those plays I would have just baited.
Gonna turn sideways quest for 3. I think that's the right move. He's already up to 4 lore.
Yeah, that Queen of Hearts gonna be able to take out one of the Rafikis and then. Oh, saving the Rafiki.
Dude, and the bouncing, this is a really great, just aggressive strategy here from Eric. A really great move to just transition into that more aggressive play style.
Definitely. So obviously that queen is probably going to trade into that Rafiki.
So that's the second bell that John is inking here. He's probably feeling that
Ooh.
pressure.
That's not good. I mean, again, we were just talking about cards you don't want to ink. That's a card you don't necessarily want to have to ink.
I mean, but I mean, if you see 2 bell strings for special in your opening hand, I mean, what else are you gonna do?
No,
You
for
know?
sure.
So
You don't want. That's what you don't want to see with opening hand. That's one of those cards that it's like you run 4 of them and you hope you don't see them until the second half of the game.
and I think that's another big reason why we're seeing Queen of Hearts so much more often is like again Rafiki. Rafiki's just putting a lot of work, and it's the perfect counter to it.
100%.
I think if a card becomes popular because it was a counter to another card, it shows that the card that's being countered is very good. And Rafiki's just one of the best cards out of purple.
Definitely. So he's gonna sing friends on the other side with the Madam Mim. Not gonna go for that easy trade or easy kill on the Queen of Hearts, which I always like my opponent to take it and take me out. If I can get some sort of extra value, always, right?
That was a clean combo right there. We see the bounce. We see him sing friends with the fox, play a new fox with rush, bounce the old fox back, and kill the queen. That's great. And then we just play the Rafiki back down.
Oof. People say the bounce package is overrated. I disagree.
I mean,
it's so good.
Just because it has competition now, that's why I say like people are over. Like I think it's more of just after the first 2 sets, just a desperate desire for Ruby Amethyst to not be as good as it is, but it's still really good.
It's still good.
So we're gonna see a popsicle here and a Maui. Just gonna take out that fox. Probably doesn't feel great to do that with a Maui, especially when you want to save him for things like Queen's Castle. You don't really have good reactions to Queen's Castle besides Maui, or take out even like a bigger threat than that, like a Scar or a, I don't know, like a Madam Mim, or I'm sorry, Madam Medusa, or there's a lot more options than a fox. But I mean,
now you got to worry about Olaf taking out your Maui. That feels bad. Like that does not feel great.
Yo, Olaf probably feeling awesome.
Real strong. She's cosplaying as Abominable.
Yeah.
And he takes him out with Rafiki. I'm super surprised by that. I would have taken him out with Olaf and kept the Rafiki, but I guess he likes the bigger butt on the Olaf.
I mean, that 3 willpower is a lot to be said, right? I mean, it puts in work. That's the magic number.
That's interesting.
Gonna see the Minnie Mouse. I mean, he might honestly just want to ink the Olaf. That's
True.
another option.
True. But ways that people play, I think it's fantastic and amazing because it's one of those things I wouldn't have done. But now look at his state; he's still got a great board state.
Yeah, it's also it's really easy for us to sit here,
Of course,
with all this information and not with feeling any of the pressure.
You couldn't tell what the opponent's hand was. Come on, you didn't have a sky view.
But we do inking the fishbone quill. Looks like, and we got the higher. I mean, this is.
I'm super surprised I haven't seen John use the fishbone quill like at all.
I know. He hasn't really needed it. I mean, he's been hitting his. He's still at 6 ink. He probably wants to ramp a little bit more, but he's being kind of conservative.
I think Eric's forcing him to really be more like on the play and not being able to focus on the ramp but then I think that John might be getting psyched out a tiny bit by it because if he just focuses in on that ramp like he did on game 1, he should be good.
I have to say I have to give props to Eric because like if you're constantly reacting to what your opponent's doing, right? I mean, it's something to be said about that. But
100%.
at the same time, we have to be careful, right? Ooh. Because John has a lot of the pieces that he needs in his hand. If he can get that Maleficent Dragon, that Scar, that Tamatoa into action, it's really hard for Eric to deal with that without something like a Be Prepared of his own. So it's really going to come down to can John survive the onslaught because Eric has a pretty strong board presence here right now.
Oh, he just drew that Be Prepared too. That's huge. He has to have
that. Is absolutely huge for John.
Hell yeah. So that's a great play. I love to see it. I didn't want to see like an absolute runaway from Eric. So now I get to see Eric come back from a Be Prepared and see what he can do with
Did he quest with the...
He did.
He did?
He got the card draw. That's how he got the Be Prepared.
Yes, that's right. Yep.
So hard casting friends, which never do I feel good about that. It just always sucks a little bit because you're like most of your characters in that deck can sing it.
I think why he did that with Olaf as well. It looks like Eric's like kind of struggling for ink. He just hit 6 ink.
That was his magic number last game, so hopefully he's able to.
Well, now that he's there, hopefully he can actually get back into this. Yeah. But I think we're running the risk right after that Be Prepared of John kind of just taking over here now. Especially now we got Tamatoa in action. We got Popsicle going to draw us some cards. We got Maleficent Dragon if Eric ever actually establishes a threat.
One day. Let's see. I think he's got. It's
hard.
Yeah, he's got 7 ink now, but not much. Yeah, I think Eric's definitely running out of gas for sure. I think that Be Prepared was a well-timed Be Prepared. And then
You know what? That's the thing about card games. Sometimes you draw the Be Prepared, and then it's really hard to come back. And you drew the bell, the third bell.
oh,
So that's
not
rough.
not looking good for Eric on the second half of this game. But he had a great start coming into it. But that's not to
No,
say it's over in any way,
I
shape,
think
or form.
Eric's approach was the correct one.
Yeah,
It's just
100%.
it's hopefully
You can't play
he can
around.
figure
Be
something out
prepared.
here, but
Ooh.
oh, and we see the lucky dime, especially with the bell in hand. I think that we might be seeing a game over soon. Still yet to see, but
Oh, he's gonna activate it too. Oh, love that. Absolutely
that's the
love that.
power of Sapphire, man. Like it just has lore swings out of nowhere.
Yeah, and there's nothing he can do about. Just kidding.
The
Just kidding. He definitely
Be
can't. do
preparing
something
a single
about it.
Tamatoa does not feel great though.
No, absolutely not. But it definitely helps him, like, because he was about to make big moves. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? So now it at least slows him down a little bit. He doesn't know that that bell's about to come down.
No, yeah, the bell is like I don't know, it might be too little, too late. We have to see if Eric has more removal here because he already did. John did ink 2 bells in the beginning of the game, so this is the third. So there's only one more after this.
So it looks like he's going to use the how far I'll go. I think that puts him over the threshold. I think that's what he was doing with that, which is great. Great move. Going to use the bell, the lucky dime on the bell, get that 5 lore, now putting him ahead of Eric. And unless Eric has an answer for the bell, that is going to be the game. He
Yep.
has to get rid of the bell or lucky dime, and we know he has no item removal. So what's he got? It's got to be a Tremaine or a Medusa.
Or be prepared. That's
Oh, there it is. That
we got the
one.
Pinocchio.
That was so
That-
good. I love that combo.
Pinocchio is another card that I just absolutely love to see doing so well.
So, who did he have on the field that he was able to bounce to put the mem on the field?
Yeah, he did play the fox first, didn't he?
Didn't he play the fox
Yeah,
first?
There was another card that came down before. And he bounced it.
Copy.
Okay, I didn't see him play the card before. Because he has the ink.
Yeah,
of
I
3 and 2, which is what's on there. One of those should be something's. I think something might be off there.
Do I need to pause the game?
I would just real quick verify that real
Ask him
fast.
what-
Yeah, because I don't.
What did he
he might have
bounce
played
to
the
put the
fox
fox?
first. Yeah. We're gonna just get that clarified, folks, because that is something to note.
Yep. We're gonna get that clarified indeed. He didn't bounce. Yeah, Pinocchio needs to be down for sure, for sure. Quick fix, but Pinocchio goes to the hand. I don't think that that's a crazy change. We just need to make sure we get that verified.
Yep. Okay. There we go.
So Pinocchio's going to the hand. Nothing else changes. So.
And then Maleficent kills the fox.
Yeah, because he plays it, it exerts it, he gets it back to the hand. Maleficent kills it. Everything stays the same.
Again.
No big deal.
John went 3 to 6 when he dimed crab with 2 popsicle dime. Okay, so you should be at 12 lore. I see what you're saying.
I gotcha.
Just
I'll go tell him about that one. Actually, so,
appreciate y'all being patient. We're just trying to figure out, get some clarification here out on the floor. Just want to make sure that the game state is correct before we continue on.
And just to clarify real quick, when it comes to the lore from characters like that, miscalculations falls on the player. It's not going to be something that after turn they can get that lore. So that's just a misplay on John's part, unfortunately. And that's just going to be one less lore that he has. So make sure that you count your items for sure.
The call on the field is under review.
Lorcana uses bounce too. I've only heard that used for Yu-Gi-Oh. So it has a bounce mechanic with the Madame Mims and the well, not the Merlin Goats. They're more reactive, but the Madame Mims will bounce. Any of the Madame Mim characters will play. In order to be played, have to take a character from the field and bounce it back to your hand. And I've actually not played Yu-Gi-Oh since I was in middle school when it was a lot simpler. So I'm not. We didn't have much bouncing back
Well,
then.
yeah, there's a. I promise you, it's more complicated now than it was when you were in middle school.
I just don't have good enough eyes. The text is too small. I'd have to bring my bifocals.
All right, looks like we're back in action, folks. So that Pinocchio is going to go back to the hand. So we're simply going to see Lady Tremaine, not Madame Medusa, come out and take care of that dragon.
And that's why I love Lady Tremaine,
It was
because
easy to rewind too.
We just rewound the game state basically. Nothing actually happened with the Pinocchio. I'm gonna try to explain this from a Pokemon judge's perspective. Nothing actually happened with the Pinocchio since it was put into play. The card that needed to be bounced, that the Pinocchio was a viable target to be bounced. Nothing really happened with it. A turn just quickly passed. No actions were really made. The Pinocchio just goes back to the hand. The player was issued a warning. It was unintentional. Mistakes happen.
Copy
Sweet.
that.
Very good,
Appreciate,
very good. It's one of those things where I mean, luckily it's an easy thing that it was just a small
Yeah.
little thing. But I mean, I've seen some things where I mean that could be a little bit more complicated to wind it back.
And much appreciation to the judges here today, making the tournament run smoothly. Get these players to achieve their victories and get everything sorted out. Really appreciate the judging staff doing all that hard work.
So now Tamatoa came down and he was able to lucky dime the Tamatoa. Says I got another Tamatoa in hand.
And there we go.
Boom.
I mean, it's that quick, man. Like Sapphire just comes in and just decides, you know what, this turn is the turn that I win on.
So yeah, the Tamatoa is huge, man. I mean, it's so powerful when it comes to that, like, because he had two in hand. He was just like, listen, man, you take that one out. That's fine. I still got this one. Like, it's
Yep.
not really that big